documentation. Because if we don't know what the rules are, we cannot.
Bingo.
And if we don't know how to do it, then we can't do it right. And so I just want to say that I'm very glad to hear him say documentation is going to be part of grant writing and sustaining a system.
Part of my brain is we have $10 million worth of needs, and we got a couple $100 grand. That was $200 grand. I'm going that desperate. I've been thinking about that ever since the comment came up. How can I get that $200 grand? And is there some way that we can somehow organize to get it done for less than $200 grand? Can you guys somehow help us? We got to get that done, but I can't. I'm trying to figure out a path to getting that done. I can't figure that out. But it absolutely needs to get done. So we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it until that gets done, because we can't say we're providing excellent service until that's available to you.
And I agree with that. And one thing I know that used to happen is we had a thing called a HIT team. So we had users talking to vendors. And if we got a user group that's talking, and it sounds like he wants to do that with the state, and says, hey, we can help you because we've done our own internal documents. Why don't you start with those? I know Rose came up with a really great spreadsheet to help calculate attendance. And that was shared with the state, and then we all got that tool. And I think those kinds of partnerships, those kinds of creative ways of solving problems is when you start listening to us and saying, hey, what can you guys bring to this? You know, with some of the openness that sounds like you guys want to implement, we can start doing that.
Well, in addition to the user group, it sounds like we're going to need some specialized HIT teams, as you described them, to hit some of these specific areas. And so if we get a group to spontaneously rise out of that specific situation, I'll commit. I can tell you this, there's no way I can come up with 200 grand. It ain't there, but we might be able to come up with 20 grand, and maybe you laugh at that, but at least we can get something, and maybe we can then get some synergy going with the HIT team to get this done. Well, thank you very much. This was a great start, I think, of a teamwork process. I'll be glad to come back every time. This was a phenomenal way to kick off a new relationship, and we're serious when we say we have the goal of getting excellent service. We're going to have to work together to get there. Thank you.
Rose, I want to thank you for inviting the superintendent and myself. I understand Yousef invites himself a lot, which is probably a good thing, because we probably need, and my promise to you is that my associate superintendent peers, we have an executive meeting this afternoon, and we'll discuss next steps based on calendars to get as many of them in front of this audience as well. Because one thing that I'm taking away is there's a lot of pent-up. Now, you gave us enough work to work for 5 years. So please keep your expectations lower than that. But what we will promise to do under my watch is communicate. I understand that there's some school districts that block Facebook, so that might not be an alternative. But we got to think of cheap, right? Because where do you spend your money? I'd rather spend it on a .NET programmer, or VB programmer, fixing SACE, or fixing some of the other broke things that we have, than buying a piece of software. But communication's important. If you don't do communications, all this pent-up frustration's out there. Could you imagine if that we were all friends? And I'm a firm believer in open campuses. I came from a company of 600,000 employees. They didn't close down Facebook. Because if you have groups working together in social networks are here. You can't hide from them. They're part of your daily life. I mean, how many people in this room have an Android or a BlackBerry or an iPhone? I'll bet everybody. No? You're little, got to get up there, okay? Because I'm so connected, I have 2 of them. And I wish I could throw both of them away some days. But what you have to say, you had my boss, the superintendent, left here with his head spinning. He's passionate about what you care about. He's passionate. So he's left here with, wow, I didn't realize, number one, he only thought 10 people would be here. And he had an audience of several hundred. So I hope you can put the same audience together for the superintendents, because part of breaking down walls is not even, you have walls between districts. Do you talk to each other? Districts next to each other? I hope so, because I've been out to Tulsa, and I've been out to Dysart, I've been out to a couple districts, and there's some great ideas. You'd think that some of that, now some of it comes with money. And some of them you don't have the ability to fund some of the things. But if you don't start planning for things that you need and put it on a business plan, you'll never have anything. Say should have had a business plan 3 years, 5 years, 7 years ago. We will have one this year on how to replace it. Whether I get the money is a whole other thing. But you got to have a plan. And I'll push the plan into the legislature. And my boss, along with your help by contacting your Congress and senators, because this is near and dear to you and the kids. If the system's broke, the real world says you shouldn't even know exist. If you have a SIS, Student Information System, it should automatically talk to it through open architecture, through tokens, through identity management that's clear, just flies through it, automatically dumps, automatically sets extracts. I know every year we'll still have to have changes because legislation changes, but that's the perfect world. You shouldn't know SACE exists. You should update your system and it automatically updates, and it works. Well, it's tough when you have 600 school districts with 600 different systems, and that's how many we have. And some are charters with only one school. But that's what we have. So it's a big problem. But through this type of working group, and Rose, my hat is off to you to corral this many cats. Because this is a lot of brilliant people in one room. Is it always this packed?
No. We got a good turnout. We have like 70 to 80 people each time.
That's awesome. So we need to pack your agenda with reasons for them to come.
Yes.
And we will. Because the state cannot operate without you. We don't have the budget. Together we have to make this successful for our kids. And I'm going to leave you with that. And thank you for the invite. And I will come back and listen to again and tell you what I've done. I will send out a newsletter. I hope that it gets it to you. I'll send it to Rose. I figure that's a fast way. How long are you in this office position?
3 years.
You're in a 3-year? Good. I've never been anywhere longer than 2 years, so that's good. So thank you for your time, and please don't lose your passion, but don't lose your passion, but don't have so high expectations that we'll never meet them. We will let you know what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to turn it over to Yousef, and he's going to go over his next year's changes.
Hello? Hi. Can you hear me? Oh, here you go. So you're probably looking like this by now. I don't know if the screen is clear. Can we turn the light off over there? And this is my son, by the way.
Now I know the problem.
Well, fiscal year 12 changes, and I know all of you are excited probably about the changes, and you're looking forward to see what these changes are. So before I get into the changes in fiscal year 12, I'd like to let you know that we have We have put together an advisory committee based on volunteers from your group. I believe in January or was in December last meeting you had, Wendy came here and I asked her to ask for volunteers to be on that advisory committee to help us draft the business rules, because I'm a big believer that whatever we do, we want to do it for you. So you're going to be the user of that stuff. I like to get it in a format that it actually work for you instead of just put the business rules, implement them, and push them on you. So that's why we put the advisory committee, is to really get your input and seek feedback from you. So we did put an advisory committee. We have about 11 people representing charters, districts, and JTEDs. AOI are not represented in it because a lot of the 4 point of time does not really affect AOI directly. But we will have them in that piece when it comes to AOI, and then we'll have them represented as well. We have started that dialogue last week, or I believe it was last week. We had our first meeting. We have a next meeting next week. And what we're hoping to do is put business rules and take really this as an opportunity to not only change the changes in statute, but also look at the reports that we have for you out there, the ADMs, the 75, the 76, all these reports, and see what else can we do and what kind of content do we need to have in these reports that actually you really need. If there are things in these reports that you're not using and it's not helpful for your purposes, there's no point of having it there. And if there are things that are not in the reports that need to be in the reports for your purposes that's going to help you, we would like to add them. So in a way, we're going to try to overhaul and the whole process of ADM and all the reports that goes with it. So that's where we're heading. And as you heard the superintendent, we're really focusing on customer service, and customer service is the core of our business, and that's what we're going to do. Having said that, I'm going to go through some changes, and please know these are preliminary recommendations. We have not finalized it. We will not finalize it till we finish all the sessions with the advisory committee. And once we have that final document, we will do a webinar where we address everybody with it and do some kind of webinar training on the new ADM, and we will put these new business rules on our website, and then we'll communicate all of this to you. But just to give you kind of a glimpse of what's coming and what these changes are, that's what I'm going to talk about today. So fiscal year 12 changes, they're really based on House Bill 2385, passed in the 49th legislature in the second regular session in 10. These are fundamental changes to ADM. The concept of 40th day, 100th day, they are no longer exist for fiscal year 12 going forward. The new ADM will be based on 4 point times rather than 40th and 100th day. Other changes that are positive probably in your view in terms of funding purposes, you will no longer be penalized for excessive absences. If you probably budgeted and planned for funding based on a certain ADM, then all of a sudden the kids are absent due to whatever reason, then your absence rate goes up, then you get less funding because of that. Well, that penalty is going away in fiscal year 12 going forward. Correction of errors will be done for one previous year only. It will not be for 3 years as it used to be in the past. These are the big picture changes. And I'm going to go through examples and show you how that's going to work. The FTE determination has changed as well. It's more clearly defined in statutes, and I have a table. I'll show you what that look like for K through 8 and 9 through 12. In the past, 9 through 12 was the problem. It was not clear what is that FTE definition. Is it 20 hours a week? Is it 720 hours? Is it 4 subject matters? That has been addressed and clarified in statutes, and I will give you a table to show you that definition in a minute. The ADM will be based on 4 points, as I mentioned. It's an average of 4 census data. It's based on enrollment. It's not attendance, and that's a huge difference. Those 4 boarding times